Good morning and welcome to Let's Talk Autism. I'm Nancy Alspaugh-Jackson.
I'm Shannon Penrod, and I'm happy to be here with you,
Happy
my
to
friends.
be here with you too, darling.
I'm unplugging my ugly cord. I was going to try to be like, fancy about it, but I was like, no, they can see. I'm unplugging the cord. Thrilled to be here with you. You guys had a huge event on Saturday.
We did. We had our Active Day for Military Families run and festival, and it was really great.
I heard it was really great.
We got pictures. Samantha was there.
Do you want to show those pictures now?
Oh, here's some pictures. There's Wyatt. There's my
Look
son.
at how handsome he is.
Yeah,
and
with me with Paul Rikus, who's at the Active Day. You've got some people here crossing the finish line, and it was just a great event. Beautiful weather as always in San Diego, it seems to be, and Tom Leahy from One Hope, our title sponsor. People enjoying the beer and wine garden, which they always do.
Really, it's one of my favorite events during the year, and I didn't get to go this year, and I was really bummed about it, but I heard it was absolutely beautiful.
Yeah, you went to another event.
I was at the We Rock the Spectrum Rock Walk and Resource Fair, and that was a beautiful event, and I don't have pictures. We did a live stream from there, so I didn't have time to take pictures, but it was beautiful.
Good.
It was in Woodley Park here in Van Nuys. And it's just always wonderful to get out in the sunshine with other autism families and participate in the conversation and the hope. We have stuff that's falling off the wall
ceiling,
here.
yeah.
I reapplied.
You can't see it on camera.
Good. I thought you could.
No.
I reapplied a piece of our sound foam the other day, and it is now it's swinging and hanging, because it's that kind of day.
What that
it's
noise
that kind of
was.
day. That's the wall falling down around us. Eventually, it'll be on your lap.
Okay.
It's foam, so it's not going to hurt anybody. Nobody's in danger. All right. So shall we talk a little about in the news?
Yeah,
and
in
what
the
we have
news.
going on. Mine is completely all jacked up.
Okay, yours is all
but there
different.
it is.
Let's see. There's
Let's start with the Hans Asperger. This was a big story the other day, and then all of a sudden it just kind of got slipped under the rug and it kind of went away.
And Washington Post had a pretty extensive article about it.
Yeah. And there are allegations suggesting that he took 35 children and that appeared to be children on the spectrum or kids with different needs or sensory needs, and shipped them off for the Nazis to, what we don't know
exterminate.
What we don't know is what his intentions were. What we don't know is ultimately, what exactly happened to them. But it doesn't seem to have been a considerate thing to do.
No.
I mean, I don't know. I think we all can say, well, if I had been in that situation, whatever, but this does not seem like the hand of somebody who was caring, concerned, or somebody who is worthy of having an entire group of people on the autism spectrum named after them. Yeah. That's how I felt about it. How did you feel about it?
I felt the same way. It's clear that he sent some of these children away for permanent placements it's called Am Spiegelgrund, the notorious reformatory and psychiatric clinic where nearly 800 children were killed under Nazi rule. He concluded that permanent placement for some of these children was absolutely necessary.
And you go, so did he know that they were exterminating kids? I don't think we know that for sure yet. And we have to remember that back in the day, the woman who diagnosed my son, on the day that she diagnosed him, it was her first day of retirement. She had worked in the field of autism for 50 years. It was at Kaiser.
Oh, it was at Kaiser.
It was at Kaiser, and it was Dr. Nancy Brill. I'm just putting it out there. It was her first day of retirement. She said to me, "Your child is the first person I'm diagnosing in my retirement." She said, "I have worked in this field for 50 years." And this woman had absolutely no bedside manner whatsoever, right? None. But she said to me, when I said, what am I supposed to do? And she said, well, take him home and enjoy him. That was her big advice of what to do. And her other thing was, you should be happy, because the fact that we're diagnosing him, what we've learned in the last 5 years of autism is more than what we learned in the previous 50 years. And she said, and if this were the first day of my practice when I started practicing, I would have told you to put him in a home, walk away, and forget that you had him. And my pudgy little elf was there, and I pulled him to me, like that protective instinct, and I said, this baby? And she said, oh, yes, on the first day, that's what I would have told you. But we don't do that anymore. And I remember thinking, God, aren't I glad that I'm born in the time that I'm born in?
Right.
Because and there was no compunction about it. Yep, that's what we used to do. We used to say to parents, put them in a home, walk away, forget about them.
Wow.
Horrifying.
Yeah,
right?
horrifying.
Well, the woman who wrote Valley of the Dolls, that was her story, that she had a child who was on the autism
Jacqueline
spectrum.
Suzanne? Right? Wrote Valley of the Dolls.
Is that Fear of Flying, or is that who? I don't, but Valley of the Dolls, the author of Valley of the Dolls, her child was on the autism spectrum, and they said, you must place him and you must walk away and you must go do something else. And she really wrote that book to take her mind off of it.
Really?
Yeah.
I never knew that.
There's a movie, Bette Midler plays her.
Okay.
I'm trying to think who plays her husband. But in any case, this is what people did. They sent these kids away. It churns my stomach. It's unacceptable. And especially to send them away to some place where you had to have some awareness of what the Nazis were about, right?
Right.
Right?
Right.
I mean, I don't know that for sure, but I would think. In any case, I think that, I was especially glad this week that Asperger's is no longer an actual designation, but I know a lot of people who identify themselves as having Asperger's. And I wonder if this will change their mind about that.
Yeah. Interesting.
Interesting, very interesting and upsetting.
Then there was an article in Neurological Health. In Spectrum.
Okay, the diabetes one.
Yeah, no, this is the mutations.
Oh, okay, that's neurological health.
Okay. Some mutations tied to autism may be passed down from fathers. That apparently goes against previous studies that suggest mutations are only inherited from mothers.
And it's always I wanted to include this because I think that people who are interested in this, I want you to know when and where to find it. But it becomes a little bit of the finger point thing, right? And it doesn't feel good. I mean, when the studies come out and it's something that points to things that I go, oh, that's me.
Right.
I don't like it. I know when we were pregnant and waiting to have the baby, I was so concerned about, was my child going to have Down syndrome? Because that's all they told me, because of my advanced age, that we were really looking at that. And I remember saying, but it's okay that dad is older too? And they were like, yep, there's nothing. And of course, out of Israel, 2 years later, came out the study saying that an older dad, genetically, you're more likely to have a child who's on the autism spectrum. So I hate these studies. Because what are you going to do? They're your genes.
Exactly.
But I think it's important that we start. These studies will eventually tell us what we need to know about genetics, and maybe this evens it a little bit more so that everybody feels a little bit of the pain. But that's what it is. It feels like pain to me. And then we have information about diabetes. And I don't have that one with me because I'm not good at copying today.
Autism does not affect metabolic control in type 1 diabetes. So they tested to see if there was any difference between those with autism with type 1 diabetes and those without, and it does not affect metabolic control.
And isn't that a great thing to at least think that we know? Because there are kiddos who are on the spectrum and who also have diabetes. That study, and is that the one that's, do you know which article, which place that came from? Does it tell you on your thing? Because it also goes on to talk about the rates of kids and how they use their insulin and how they are about taking their measurements, and gives statistics on that as well. That's interesting if you have a child who's on the autism spectrum. I can't remember if that was...
I don't see where this is from.
Okay. Well, we'll see if we can't figure that out for you guys and get back to you on that. But in any case, we've got some fabulous guests today.
We do.
Absolutely wonderful. We've got Tori Ridgway, who's going to be here with his mom, Vanessa. And what a fine, upstanding young person Tori is, that a scout,
an Eagle Scout,
award-winning scout. So I hope that we can talk a little bit about how scouting helps individuals who are on the autism spectrum and hear what he's doing now. And then Lois Jean Brady is going to be with us from Eye Therapy. We've had her before on the show.
And she's going to be with us with her partner, I believe, as well.
That's what I was not entirely sure about, but they're going to talk about I always say to
Yeah,
them,
Matthew
when you have
Dugamus.
something to share with us, something new to unveil, to send it our way, and they have something new to talk with us about. So we're very excited about that. That's all coming up after these messages. Stick with us.
Stay with us.
Parent to parent, you might be asking yourself, how on earth can I afford ABA therapy for my child? Well, the short answer is you can't. No one can. It's really expensive and it's overwhelming to most families. But the story doesn't end there, fortunately. The first thing that I want you to think about is tapping insurance resources. So many insurance companies are paying for ABA therapy right now. So that's your first best bet. Make sure and see if your insurance company is providing benefits for ABA therapy and check back often. Now, if you see that you don't have insurance right now for ABA, don't panic, there are still other resources. The next place to go is to your local support groups and ask them what local resources there are. That's a great place to ask for information because often states and even counties have support for ABA. And then beyond that, you might consider applying for grants. There are many fabulous grants out there to help you to get support for your ABA therapy. But most important, it's absolutely essential that you get ABA services for your child. We know that that's essential for all of our children and that you won't be able to do it on your own. So seek out those services and support groups that will help you to fund your ABA journey. It's really important to remember that all behaviors happen for a reason.
Hello, fellow activists. Last week, we talked about step number 1, accept and embrace this challenge. Now we're moving on to step number 2, educate yourself. After my son Wyatt was diagnosed, I put up a sign over my home office that said Autism Central. I went to school in my home office every night after my husband and Wyatt had gone to bed because I was determined to learn everything there was about autism. That's because knowledge is power. Visit all the autism websites you can, read all the books you can, learn about all the organizations that are out there that offer free guides to help you. Some of them even offer mentors to help guide you. Find out about local support services. Find out about what educational services your child is entitled to. Get to every autism conference and seminar you can. I'll never forget the first autism conference that I went to. The first speaker was a beautiful, brilliant woman named Dr. Doreen Graham-Pichet. She spoke about a therapy called Applied Behavioral Analysis, or ABA. She told about how it could improve the life of children with autism, and in some cases, recover them. Now, despite the fact that Wyatt had been diagnosed for over a year, nobody had told me about this therapy. I remember calling my husband on the cell phone and saying, "Honey, I met the woman who is going to help improve Wyatt's life." And I'm happy to say that 8 years later, that's true. Are you feeling a little overwhelmed by all the information that's out there? Well, you're not alone. But try different approaches for your child. Trust your gut. Just 40 short years ago, mothers were told if their child had autism that they would have to be institutionalized, and in some cases they were actually blamed for their child's autism for failing to bond with the child. That was called refrigerator mother syndrome. Well, thank goodness times have changed. So until next time, learn everything you can about autism and keep the faith.
You say howdy, we say hi. Let's get rowdy, let's get wild. Let's get wild. Let's get wild. Let's get wild. Let's get wild.
Hi, welcome back to Autism Live. I'm Lisa Ackerman. We're here doing allergy-free cooking, and I brought my sister with me today.
Jamie Davis, thanks for having me.
A lot of people are asking about an allergy-free breakfast, and breakfast can be full of crap. You know,
But it's
breakfast,
full of crap
cereal.
and it's hard to do. We
Yeah.
don't have time in the morning. We're in a hurry.
We're going completely nut-free. The recipe is not.
Personality, we can't do
Yeah, I
anything
can't
about.
do anything about that. So we're going to start off first with, I'm using sorghum and brown rice flour. I find the texture good, and I've added some flaxseed meal. We talked about that last time, flaxseed meal for poop. Almost every one of our kids has a poop issue. What's next on the recipe is the quinoa flakes, baking powder, cinnamon, and the xanthan gum. It brings the glutinous texture back into the flour. And often what happens with these recipes is they can fall apart. This one holds up nicely. I like it. For the folks that are egg-free, we have a ton of egg replacers. One of those can be the arrowroot starch or bringing back some additional flax seeds. So there's a lot of options to go eggless, but we're going to go egg full in this one. For sweetener, I use the maple syrup. I stay away from refined sugar. What I'm adding now is the coconut milk, maple syrup, and a little bit of the coconut oil. And we're going to add in the raisins, craisins, and chocolate chips at the end. I find that chocolate chips can coax people to eat some really amazing things. When we started, Jeff had 42 food allergies, so we had to get creative in how we cooked. So nuts were a big, big issue. What I like now is that he can tolerate so many more things after start doing this diet. So let me show you how you can deal with this sticky stuff here. You get your fingers really wet, and you can push it down. So my oven has been preheated. It's at 350 degrees. So we're gonna just throw this in. Like I said, I like it around 23 minutes, and the magic oven says, I'm done. Looks like, don't you love magic ovens? They're awesome. There we go, pops right out. The texture of these, and it's so pretty, it looks almost like a big chocolate chip cookie, but you actually made it healthy. But you can be my guinea pig. Tell me what you think.
It looks really good.
Doesn't it? So the textures and the colors in there are just beautiful. So the raisins are for you, the chocolate chips are for your kid.
I can't believe it's gluten-free.
I know, right? It doesn't taste like, you know, crap. We're wrapping up another cooking show. If you have feedback, you can email us at autismlive@gmail.com. We're, of course, on Facebook. You could go to facebook.com/autismlive. And, of course, Talkin' Now has thousands of recipes. Join me there, and we can cook some more later on. So thanks for joining us.
You say howdy, we say hi. Let's get rowdy, let's get wild. Let's get wild.
Are you looking for a way to teach speech to someone with autism? Inner Voice Autism Language and Literacy Tool communicates for those who cannot speak for themselves. It provides a model of speech production, teaches how to speak, recognize, and display emotions, and provides self-monitoring for written language. Inner Voice combined with MyScript Stylus turns written language into spoken language with the ability to express emotions. Buy now and tell your friends.
We are back now, and that trailer you just saw, we are now here with the inventors of Inner Voice. We have Lois Jean Brady, who has over 25 years of experience as a practicing speech-language pathologist, and she also holds a certification in assistive technology, and her partner Matthew Gugamos, who also is a speech-language pathologist and professional inventor and father, and he specializes in treating autism spectrum disorders. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. Welcome for having us.
Thanks for having us.
We're thrilled to have you, and you've been on the show before to talk about Inner Voice, but we always invite you to come when you've got something new that's going on, and we understand that there are new things going on. But let's start, for people who haven't seen us, talk about why would you create an app for voice when there are other ones that are out there, right?
Yes, there are. There's plenty of apps on the market. And, you know, Matthew and I both work with children with autism on a daily basis. And what we realized is, oh my gosh, these kids weren't using them. They weren't working for our kids with autism. Well, what was working? So we took all the things we knew that were working, took away the things that we knew weren't working, and we created Inner Voice specifically for kids on autism to get their attention, their engagement, and their motivation.
Which is a wonderful, wonderful thing. How is yours different, and how does it achieve that?
Well, the main thing is that it uses avatars to represent speech, or basically these avatars are made through pictures of the user. And so what that does is that it kind of replicates how all people pretty much learn to speak, which is watching other people speak. So these pictures can be a cartoon or a drawing like this, or they can be a photograph of a child like you're displaying there. And this is how, well, all human beings throughout the world learn to speak. They watch their parents speak, they imitate it, and then learn to imitate in social context. So that's basically the reason that we took that model to make natural language learning be applied to what appeals to kids on the autism spectrum using tablets, which is an evidence-based practice.
I love this, you guys, I gotta say. I mean, and the fact that it can be a cartoon, a real person, or an animal is just absolutely brilliant, because different kids respond to different things.
Right.
Can you demonstrate for us how inner voice can narrate social stories without confusing pronouns?
Absolutely. Matthew has a great story tell him the story about the kid on the bus, the student on the bus.
Oh, I remember he was doing something he shouldn't have, and so the social story was telling him, well, just how to be appropriate on the bus. And so when I'm reading it to him, this was about 10 years ago, this was before we had come up with the app, I'm reading it to him saying, well, when I'm on the bus and I want to, get in other people's space, then I should keep my hands to myself. I'm thinking, well, I'm talking about myself. Does he realize I'm talking about him? Because if I'm talking about myself, he might be agreeing that I shouldn't be doing those things and not applying it to himself. So we started thinking, well, how do you get someone to really internalize a social story with the appropriate pronouns without kind of resorting to having to read them out loud and assume, and especially for kids who can't read, for them to assume that we're talking about them. It gets very abstract, and sometimes we found it didn't sink in as well as other approaches. So Lois has an example here.
So you take the picture of the student. In this case, we're not going to use a cartoon because the student is going to be talking about themselves. And in this case, we're just going to use the little girl that comes with the app. There's some preloaded avatars. And I pre-created this little story about her getting on the bus. So you open it up, and here she is.
I need some help, dance. I ride the school bus to school.
Okay.
I need some help, dance. I ride the school bus to school. I wait
You had
patiently
something on there first.
First thing you're always going to want to do is make sure it's on auto erase. And that's just in the settings. There's always something that goes wrong every single time with any app you use. So you go to auto erase and you turn it on.
Okay.
Yeah. And now we'll hit it again.
I ride the school bus to school.
I ride the school bus to school.
I wait patiently to get on the bus.
I wait patiently to get on the bus.
I sit down and buckle my seatbelt. I follow directions from the bus driver.
So now your student is telling themselves how to act on the bus. And again, I just put that together from pictures I pulled off the web, but what you're going to want to do is go take actual pictures and really make it concrete for the student and relative for them.
I think it's so clever.
Yeah, it's very clever.
So clever. Because, the fact that the avatar's mouth moves to such a clever thing. I honestly, there was one of those silly little apps with the cat that talked. And my son was so attracted to that, and that really, really helped him. If I had been able to put his head there with talking lips, oh my goodness, what an exciting thing, you guys. Okay, so it's such great technology, but why did it take more than 5 years to develop? What was that about?
Well, we had to raise money, so we wrote grants. We got grants from the National Science Foundation, Autism Speaks, New Schools Ignite, and then we created, as Matthew calls it, our duct tape version. So we part and pieced it together, and then we go out and try it. We have, many students on many different levels, and we try it. So this didn't work, and we threw that out, and we brought something else in, and it really took just the research and development and 5 years to finally get it to this place where not only do the students use it and are engaged, but the parents. There is no real big learning curve for parents. We tried to mirror the iOS system. So when parents open it up, it's familiar to them. There's not a lot of training that needs to be done. They can kind of do it on their own. But if they need help, there's of course manuals on the website and tutorials. But we wanted it to be easy for everyone around, and it just took that long to really tease it out, to get research, to surveys, SurveyMonkey. We did a lot of customer discovery, and we're finally at a place where, oh my gosh, I think this is it.
So is this it then? This is the final version?
Yeah, we'll keep moving and moving and moving. Is our idea is, why should our students that we work with use technology that was made 10 years ago? Now, when I got in the field, all my kids had old technology. They're using the old things that everyone was already done with. Our idea is to take, well, what is emerging right now? Let's put it into our app, and let's be the leaders in technology rather than having special needs students always be the followers. So we're always going and watching to the CES in Las Vegas every year. What's new? What's coming up? And how do we get our kids using it first?
I love it.
So no, this is not the end. This is just a place where we're happy right now.
Okay. I like that.
And we're going to sit here a minute and
and bask in the wonderfulness.
Right.
But where do we get it? How do we get it? What does it cost? All of that good information.
It's on the Apple App Store, so you get it like you get any other app. It's currently a one-time price of $19.99, which again is only a fraction of what some of the other apps are on the market, if you're familiar. But again, we did get lots of grants from the government and private industries, and we were able, that was one of the pain points for parents is, I want to get something for my child, I can't afford it.
So we've lowered it to that price for Autism Awareness Month. So we're trying to keep it at a low price just to let people learn about it and to try it. And get more people the opportunity to put it on their devices so that they can see how it works for them.
Great.
And there also is research. This is evidence-based. Talk a little bit about the research for us.
Well, we did. We've got a kind of several layers of research we did with it. I mean, so the first is through our we received a National Science Foundation grant through SBIR. So it's a form of seed funding through the government to apply research into technology that consumers can use. And so what we did is we studied actually something called, we called it synthesized emotional communication. So we wanted to figure out what components have to be part of an exchange between a sender and a receiver. That's what always happens when you're communicating. Someone's delivering something, the other person's receiving it. And if you wanted to send emotional content like happiness, sadness, anger, maybe even neutrality, what has to be part of that? So what we studied with the NSF is it only a voice with something it's called suprasegmental. So these are the ups and downs of your voice pitch, the emphasis in certain words, the how loud you're speaking, the rate you're speaking. So is it just that you can just tell how someone's feeling only through speech alone? Is it only facial expressions, or is it the combination of the two? So not surprisingly, and then we fed this into a statistical analysis, and we found this is just like how human beings behave. You need someone's face and you need someone's tone of voice to give context to both the tone of voice and the facial expressions. Because I could be smiling and saying something not nice. So just because I'm smiling doesn't mean I'm saying something nice. So we studied that, and that paper got accepted by the NSF. And we published those results that they're going to be published in an online magazine called Scientia like next month. So that's one aspect. Lois talked about the customer discovery. She can tell you about that.
The customer discovery, and I think you were asking also about the evidence-based practices. And out of the 27 evidence-based practices, we fall into 10 of them. And I think probably the most important one that we do fall into is the video modeling and the video self-modeling. Those are really powerful evidence-based practices and tools for teaching students on the spectrum, in particularly how to accomplish a goal, how to act in a social situation, certain behaviors. So you can put in their face, and when their face tells themselves either what to say, what to do, how to act, it becomes really important and really powerful to that student. And believe those things just, I don't want to say magically happen or anything, but they really happen. It's incredible to watch a student who won't go on the bus, and you put their little face in there saying, it's time to get on the bus now. And they go on and get on the bus. Wow, that works. That's pretty powerful. So it's that video self-modeling and just showing them rather than telling them, because we all know that the visual strength is so much more powerful for kids on the spectrum than auditory. So it's showing them, not telling them.
Okay, remarkable.
Well,
so on the App Store, now I'm embarrassed to ask this, but we have a promo code here. Is that just so that we could look at it, or is that something you want us to share with the audience?
You can look at it, share it with the audience. You know.
I beg your pardon and I apologize, but I just don't know. It's not in my notes. Whether was that just so that we could look at it, or is this a promo code?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Okay. Sorry about that. All right.
We'll let you take a look at it and share it around and show your
but,
son your.
But the truth is that you do have a discounted price right now for April. If people go and get it right now at the App Store, $19.99. When you think about the things that we buy and spend for our kids, and the ability to have them engaged and excited and learning and fostering speech, I don't think you can beat it for $19.99.
No, you can't.
So that's remarkable. Thank you guys so much for all the work that you've put in on this and all the time.
Congratulations.
And yes, congratulations. And again, really clever thing. I thank you so much.
Thank you for having us again. We always enjoy coming
We're
to your show.
always
We'll
thrilled
see you
to have
next
you guys
time.
back. All right, take care. Bye-bye.
All right, so we're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we'll be back with Tori Ridgway and his mom. Tori built the Buddy Bench to stop bullying at school. He's an Eagle Scout, and he's going to tell us about that. Okay, we'll be back.
Hi, I'm Lisa Ackerman. Welcome back to Talk of Facts. We hear questions all the time, and we want to give you the answers that help make your journey in autism easier and more navigatable. Less than a year ago, we interviewed the top 100 doctors in the United States working with children on the spectrum, and we asked them a question in the cloak of secrecy. What are the top 3 mistakes parents living with autism do? Number 1, and the one that makes me laugh the most, is when they use their physician as a marriage and family therapist. 1, the doctors told me it made them uncomfortable, and 2, they were highly unqualified to provide that type of advice. So the night before your physician appointment with your MAPS doctor, get together with your spouse, significant other, and write out the list of the targets in the agenda that you want to cover at the physician's appointment. Get in sync. Then you'll be definitely spending less time and not making that doctor so uncomfortable. Second thing that was the most common mistakes parents living with autism make is they want to go too fast. And really, you want to pace yourself in the autism journey. We all know that we want to get our kid to be the best they can be and hopefully recover from autism. And what a lot of the doctors have told me is that you want to really pace yourself. 1, to let the labs be your guide, and 2, work with your physician on the prioritization and the delivery of the different medical interventions. The third most common mistake they felt families made was giving up too soon. And what you need to know is they're invested. They're looking at wanting to get the best from your child. But I tell you that when I got that and consolidated the 100 interviews with these physicians, most of the doctors who brought that up had tears in their eyes. They want you to know that they're in the fight with you, and they want you to know that hope is really real. It may take hard work and it may take time, but to not give up and to stay in the game. So let Talka help you. We'll have some more Talka facts for you in the future, real questions and real answers for the autism journey.
Talk to us a little bit about what your degree is in.
City planning or urban planning.
I got it from Cal State Northridge with a degree in cinema and television arts
with an emphasis in screenwriting.
And what are you interested in, Eli?
A video game internship.
Computer programming.
I'm hoping to combine entertainment or travel, my two passions.
Ooh, what kind of jobs have you worked?
Bakery inventory.
Okay, inventory.
Want to talk about your volunteer job?
Operation going to help the soldiers.
You volunteered to help the soldiers?
Yes.
I interned in the national parks in the Santa Monica Mountains, which is very urban area. So I worked with the problems of how it's impacting the surrounding community, like the flow of traffic and the flow of people and what they could do to plan in the parking.
I've been to China, I've been all around Europe, I've been to Thailand, Japan, Australia.
You can create an app? That's impressive. Really cool thing. Can you teach other people how to make an app? If you have a choice between working or not working,
Working.
you like working.
Yes.
Why? What do you like about working?
It is fun.
I would work.
Yeah? You would choose work? Why?
Cause I have get one that get paid and enjoy it, and want to make sure I have enough money so I can save it.
Why do you need to have a full-time job? I mean, it's kind of like a duh thing, right?
No, obviously, so I can support myself
Right.
and hopefully a family down the line, but at least at first, myself.
I'm very dependable and always reliable and get to my job on time.
What excites you about working a job or being an intern?
Learning new skills.
Yeah. What has it meant to you having this job and having the stability of a job that you've had for multiple years?
It's meant the world because I'm able to do everything, almost everything I wanted to do because of that job.
And we are back, and as promised, we now are joined by Tori Ridgway, who is a Maryland teen with autism who built the Buddy Bench as his project at school, and Vanessa Ridgway, his mother. Welcome to the show, Tori and Vanessa.
Thank you.
Good to have you both here.
We're excited to have you guys with us. We're going to start with a question for you, Vanessa. What signs did Tori display that made you question his doctor?
Not question his doctor, but question Tori himself. Early on, Tori ate very few things, one of them being bread mostly. Tori liked to line up cars, and they had to be exactly in a particular order. And he could lay for an extended amount of time and just lay and watch the wheels, just pushing them back and forth. When we asked him how his day was, he would just repeat. We would say, "How was your day?" And he would say, "How was your day?" Instead of the back and forth conversation, it would be more like echolalia.
Right.
So did you bring that to the attention of his doctor? How was he eventually diagnosed?
Yes, it was time for his annual. He's going to turn 4, and I was concerned about him being able to talk or tell us about his day. And I wasn't concerned about him knowing his ABCs and his colors because he knew his numbers and colors and his alphabet when he was 2. So I told the doctor that he was showing those signs. Those are some of the things that my husband and I noticed, and they referred us to Bethesda Naval, and then we got our diagnosis.
Well, and we can't leave Tori out of this because you're an amazing young man. But for people who are watching, Tori, before you had a diagnosis, how did you communicate with your parents?
I talked in third person. Mom would say, "Does Tori want to eat?" And I'd say, "Tori wants to eat." I can't remember much.
You pointed. He did a lot of pointing.
I still do.
I do a fair amount of pointing. What kinds of things did you do? What was your favorite thing to do as a toddler?
Line up cars. Watch Thomas the train.
Yes, he liked to watch Thomas train.
Yes, that's a personal favorite of my son still at 16.
Really?
Yes.
They've moved on to Polar Express now. He and his dad.
Okay, great, great. Now, what were some of the interventions you did once you got the diagnosis?
Well, first I cried.
Mm-hmm.
And the interventions we got was the first thing we did was get a hearing test to be sure that he was hearing everything fine. After we did that, our area had an early intervention telephone number that was given to us by our daycare provider on Andrews Air Force Base. So it's called Early Start, I think. And we were to get him into an early intervention special education unit that was for school. He received speech therapy there. My husband and I also took him to a private speech therapist twice a week for 3 years.
We hear a lot of people talking about what an incredible organization this can be for individuals on the autism spectrum. And clearly this has been something that's been effective for you guys. So I'd love to hear from both of you, Vanessa and Tori, about what you feel, Vanessa, the Cub Scouts and the Boy Scouts have done for your son. And Tori, I want to hear from you what you feel like it's done for you.
Tori? I'll let you go first.
First and foremost, it's given me friends. When I came in, I had precisely one friend by my calculations. And I did a lot of algebra to figure that one out.
Man, that is a huge, huge thing to have friends. It feels good to have friends, doesn't it?
Now I have a list of them that's several pages.
I love that.
That's so great.
And Mom, what do you think it's done for your son?
Well, scouting has not only given him a safe place to make friends, it's like a no judgment zone for him. This group has pretty much grown up together. Scouting has taught Tori discipline. It's taught, he has 44 merit badges, so
that's amazing.
He knows how to think. What else do you know?
And I want to know, talk a little bit about this award that we're showing right now. What is this award that you got? It's a big deal.
Which one is that?
It's
the presidential.
I think that's what we're showing right now.
Presidential.
Talk about the presidential award.
That's because I got straight A's for 2 years when I went to Windy Hill Elementary, and I didn't expect to get it. There were people who had been there for like 5 years, like their entire life. And I was very surprised when I got it. All I had to do was get straight A's.
And Mom, what was that like for you? What exactly is the award? Explain it to us.
The Presidential Award for Academic Excellence is given to children who are on the honor roll for several years. And Tori has always been on the honor roll. He really has been very fortunate to have great educators to help him thrive, which is why we chose to take him outside of our county, because our neighboring county was able to meet his needs and allow him to excel academically. So he has two presidential awards. He got one in elementary school, and then he received one when he finished middle school.
What a wonderful thing.
So tell us about the bench and how that came about.
Well, we were confused about what we were going to do for my Eagle project, because I had just become a Life Scout, and we were riding down the road, and my mom always says that we have learned a lot in car rides, because 20 miles is a long time to learn stuff. And we were discussing what we were going to do, and we just came up with a buddy bench. And we thought about what has set me apart from everybody else, and what do we not want happening to anybody else, and what can really help the community. So we decided we're going to build a bench, and then we decided we're not going to build one. We're going to be overachievers, as Ridgeways always are, and we're going to build two. And we're going to paint them blue, but Mom's not going to help.
And
there was a sentimental reason behind building 2 benches opposed to 1.
One went to Windy Hill Elementary, which is where I got my first presidential award, and the other one went to James Ryder Randall, which is my early intervention school.
I love it.
So he wanted to give back to the schools that helped him become the best Tori. And he wanted something that would help children who have a difficult time engaging or making friends, or children who are bullied on the playground.
So how does the buddy bench work?
Tori?
Well, whenever somebody is sad or lonely, or they don't have a friend because they're either absent or they just plain don't have friends, they can sit on this bench, and it kind of works like a distress flare. And what I hope that teachers are doing at these schools are they're counseling students to recognize that when somebody's sitting on that bench, it's because they don't have a friend, and that they will come to the rescue and invite them to play tag with them, or whatever kids are playing at recess now. We don't have recess in high school.
Well, what's amazing about this to me, Tori, is that you have created a social cue. Because sometimes it's hard to tell when somebody needs help, when somebody feels alone, when, you know, like you approach somebody and you're not sure, maybe they want to be alone, right? But what you did was you created a social cue. So somebody sits on the bench, and that tells everybody that person would like for somebody to reach out to them. And that makes it more possible that it will happen. Because if I know you want a friend, then of course I want to talk to you. It's really an amazing thing. And I see, Mom, I see what an amazing mom you are. This whole idea of, and I want for all the moms that are watching to hear, because you were at a school where it wasn't working and it wasn't getting done, and you weren't afraid to say, then we're going to do something that isn't easy, and we're going to go someplace where he does get his educational needs met. And I heard your son say, we don't do things the easy way because we're the Ridge ways. Instilling those values.
Yes.
That's a pretty awesome mom, huh, Tori?
Yeah.
Awesome. No, incredible.
There we go.
We can't leave Dad out. He's at work, and he's doing his part to help.
Well, I'm sure he is.
And that's a wonderful thing too.
It sure is.
Well,
it's a big deal. You know, we all have our roles and our parts to play to make this thing work. It's not easy.
No.
It's possible.
Okay.
And that's the
every
thing.
Day
Thank you for that.
Every day you get up and what, Vanessa?
Every day we get up, we face the day, we face the challenge. If there's a challenge, we get through it. And I admire Tori so much because he's resilient, he is persistent, and he teaches me a lot.
Right.
Riding with him 44 miles a day,
80 miles.
Times how many years? 8, 9 years. That's a lot of time that Tori and I spend in the car together.
Right.
So he gives me teachable moments, and helps me to become the best mom I can be.
You're such an inspiration.
It's not perfect. I'm not perfect. So, you know.
Well, your family is a huge inspiration, and Tori, congratulations to you for all your awards and for this fabulous bench that you came up with.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. We can't wait for you to come back with the next thing that you do. We'll have to have you back on a regular basis. Next time you have a brilliant idea and come up with something, let us know. That'll be next week, I have a feeling.
I have a lot of brilliant ideas.
I'm sure you do. I'm sure you do. Well, we'll have to have you back on the show to share more of your brilliant ideas. But thank you so much.
Yes, thank you for joining us.
Thank you for reaching out. Thank you for reaching out to us. We really appreciate it, and we love to spread the word to the autism community that, you know, I once was a mom who was lost, you know, and other people helped me. And this is our way of saying you don't have to always be lost. We are here. Just like you as a mom, we are here, and we want to do something to help.